Hey there, listeners. How are you? And how's the new year going for you? One thing that will be crucial to your effectiveness and success this year is being consistent. Consistency is a major key to your success, and it's something you have to get good at. So let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Welcome to the Ask Denis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, experiences, and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Well, there, listeners, welcome to today's Leadership is Changing podcast, Ask Denis episode. It's a freestyle episode, as I've just said, and do this every Friday. And as my question in the actual opening, which was, how's your new year going for you? Have you done your goal setting? How are they coming along? Well, for me personally, I've done mine prior to Christmas, and I always talk about between Christmas and New Year is a good time to do it. But between that Christmas and New Year period, I've been reviewing, planning, and setting things up for this year, while at the same time having a break, right? So it's important to do that. Now, my goals are really big, and I'm not sure how yours are, but in fact, I got some real biggies. And do I know how to get them done? Nope, don't know. Are they scary? Well, they're both a stretch, while they're also exciting at the same time. And what I do know is that the one thing that's going to be crucial for me and for you, for both of us, to your effectiveness and success this year is being consistent. Consistency is a major key to your success. It's something that you're going to have to get good at if you're not good at it right now. Or if you are, but how can you become even better at it? Because you see, I see consistency as the cornerstone. It's the pillar. It's very important to help effective leadership. Just this podcast as an example. Coming out every week with 3 episodes. Rain, hail, sunshine, whatever, snow, it's always been done. And it's been done on a consistent basis. Now, leaders who demonstrate consistency, they tend to earn trust. They can inspire confidence, and they achieve results that are going to last a long time. They're going to keep going, these results. Now, I've been thinking about this word in particular, and in today's episode, I'm going to use each letter within the word consistency to really start to explore some key aspects of how consistency shapes great leaders. Are you ready? Well, you might want to take some notes, but don't worry if you can't take notes right now. The great thing is, with this podcast, like other podcasts, is that you can listen again and again. That's what I tend to do with audiobooks and podcasts. I'll listen several times and take notes when I can. Okay, let's break down the word consistency to see how consistency shapes great leaders and how it will help you this year. The first letter is C, and that's the word for, or the letter is for commitment. What I find is that consistency begins with that relentless commitment to your vision, to your values, to your goals. You know what? A leader's dedication to their mission and purpose really starts to inspire their team to follow as well. So when leaders are committed, they create a sense of stability and purpose that drives collective progress. Collective meaning that everyone will see the progress, that everyone moves forward. And this is why a lot of organizations lose people, is because they don't know what their purpose is, but they're not being consistent in relation to the commitment to the mission, to the values, to the goals. And that's something for you to think about. The next letter is O, and it's for ownership. So great leaders take ownership of their actions and decisions. Consistency in taking responsibility for both successes and failures will actually help you build credibility and encourages a culture of accountability. And that starts to happen with you, but also within the team. The next letter is N, and that is for nurturing relationships. I've added an extra word in there. Now, consistent leaders always make sure that they put it up front as a priority for them to nurture or build relationships. Now, when we say nurture, we talk about that with plants, with people, with kids, and so forth. It's the same thing here. Because if you're regularly engaging with your teams and you're offering feedback and you're showing genuine here, that starts to create and will continue to create strong bonds that really start to help collaboration and the morale. But it's also, if you think about networking and building networks and nurturing those networks is very important. When should you start building the network? Well, before you need it is a good idea, but I would start right now. But it's about building networks and nurturing those relationships in and out of the organization. The next letter is S for standards. Now, consistency means upholding high standards at all times. Now, leaders set the tone. How? By modeling excellence or being that role model in the work that they do, encouraging their teams to aim for that consistent quality and performance. You know what? You can't ask others to do things if you don't do it yourself as well, right? They can't just go off and do things. It has to be both. The next letter is I for integrity. And integrity is really at the heart of consistent leadership. Because those leaders who align their actions with their values, they build trust, which is really essential for long-term success and influence. So if you want to be influential, you need to make sure you've got integrity, but you're being consistent with it as well. The next letter is another S for steadiness. Now, in a world where there's constant change, consistent leaders provide steadiness. They're a rock. They are strong, stable. Because you see, their ability to stay calm and focused, even in challenging times, reassures their teams and keeps them motivated. You look in a crisis, when a crisis actually happens, people are looking for that strong leader. And I've talked about this topic in other episodes as well. The question is, does the leader turn up? And if they do turn up, how are they showing up? Are they showing up calm and focused or overwhelmed? Here's another thing too, very interesting question. How long should the leader stay before they start becoming a burden? So if you're going to be there and you're going to show steadiness, that's great, but there will become a point in time you probably need to get out of the way to let people get on with things. The next letter is the letter T, transparency. Being transparent about your goals, your expectations, your challenges really starts to help the team stay aligned. Because if you've got that consistent communication that builds trust and helps everyone work towards those goals, those objectives, there's nothing worse than a leader that has mixed messages or messages that are changing every 2 minutes. It confuses people and people start to lose confidence and trust. The next letter is E for empathy. Empathy is a vital component of consistency. Leaders who consistently listen and show understanding build stronger, more loyal teams who actually feel valued and supported. In fact, actually feel like they're being heard. And it's a very important thing, and it's a topic that comes up in many interviews that I do on this podcast. Here's a question for you. Do you know what the difference is between empathy and sympathy? There's a great video out there on YouTube. You can just go to Google, search for it, or YouTube, and it's by Brene Brown, and it's called Empathy versus Sympathy. About 2 to 3 minutes long, but gets the point across about the difference between both. The next letter is N. I'm going to put 2 words here, navigating change. You know that this episode or this podcast is really all about leadership and change and how to embrace it, how to navigate the journey, and so forth. Consistency doesn't mean that you resist change. It means navigating it with clarity and purpose. Leaders who really remain true to their principles while adapting to new circumstances, they set a great example for resilience. Adaptive leadership is another whole topic, and I don't have enough time today to talk about it. But if you navigate change and you're consistently in the way you approach things, while at the same time being aware of other things and being able to adapt, that's a great thing for you to do. The next letter is C, confidence. Consistency breeds confidence, not only in the leader themselves, but also in their teams. Now, when a leader consistently delivers on promises, their team trusts their guidance and decision-making. Not only their team, but also their customers, their leadership, and their stakeholders. Very important. C for confidence. The last one is Y, yielding results. So consistency is all about perfection. Well, do you need to be perfect all the time? You probably won't be. But if you're turning up consistently, that's a great thing. Why? Because it's all about progress. It isn't about perfection. Consistency is all about the way you show up and about the progress that you make. Because you see, leaders who consistently put in effort, they can focus on priorities, they can empower their teams, and that's when they can start to yield, is the word that I've used for the Y, results, tangible results. In conclusion here, listeners, leading with consistency is about aligning actions. It's about your values. It's about the words in a way that inspire trust and drives success. When leaders embrace these principles that I've gone through with you today, they start to create an environment where people thrive and goals are achieved. Here's a question for you to reflect on. How consistent are you in your leadership? An interesting question for you to think about. Feel free to send me a message on my email at dennis@leadingchangepartners.com or a private message on LinkedIn or Facebook. Just send it to me, a direct message, private message, and let me know when you reflect on that question, how consistent are you in your leadership? Well, your call to action now is to go download the 10 proven ways to lead and thrive in today's world. I've created a PDF document that has 10 themes and 42 strategic insights for you to check out. Go to the show notes of this episode. Down below in the show notes, there is a link. Click on that, and I'll send you the actual PDF to you directly once you've filled in your name and your email. Hey, listeners, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.